people of the World Wide Web. So it is a Wednesday, it is another look what I've been watching. We're up to, I think, about 74, so we're almost at 3/4 of the way to 100. So yes, people new to the channel, this is basically an overview of what I watched in the past 7 days. I try and only keep this to physical media, so anything I've actually physical watched that I have or own. It's not to say I watch other stuff and may frequently or sometimes mention it. So this is my list here. So it doesn't look like much, but there is more to it. The bottom one is a long-awaited one from a gift from Matt's B Movies. But we'll get into that a little bit later into the video. So I normally start in reverse order. So the last thing I watched, and then we will work back and give you my opinion and views. You will see in these videos I have a very diverse and eclectic watching. I watch anything and everything, and depending on if there's certain themes or stuff I'm trying to watch for other videos, this is why I have them. But we shall get into it. So the first one is I picked up recently. This is the steelbook for the anime movie Akira. So a very, very great movie. Been fortunate enough to see it at the movies. I think last year, the year before, they had it on at my cinema. It's a great film. It is a lot of death, you know, and a little bit of nudity, not a lot. Drug use. It is quite not hyper violent, but it does range. Now I say it's only rated 15, but a very cool story that is. And it basically spawned a lot of anime from this. You know, this was quite a big hit back in the day and kind of put anime a little bit on the map. As you can see, it's always rated in the highest stories. I'm glad to pick up this steelbook. I did have a 2-disc DVD that I will sell or give out if that is the case, but glad to have this. I mean, if you like anime or you're interested in anime, this is definitely one to look at. I mean, Canada, the character here and his bike are kind of synonymous with that. So that is the first one we have. So the next one is The Crow. So I kind of, having seen the recent movie, I'm kind of on a back trip. You'll see these movies will come up and there's a reason for it. So this is the movie that was set 2 years after the previous Crow movie. Vincent Perez takes on the lead. You have the returning character of Sarah, so the young girl from the first one, but she's aged and a lot older. And essentially this is a dad and a boy who get killed by gangsters by being in the wrong place at the wrong time and him taking vengeance. There was a lot of twists and turns within this story. The fact that basically this movie was greenlit because of The Crow and how good it did. Unfortunately, because the lead actor from The Crow movie, Brandon Lee, died. Obviously, it meant other people. There was an original story that it was going to be Sarah. Sarah was going to get killed and she would be the Crow, the first female Crow. We've not seen that, and I like that and I don't like that. Vincent Perez, he's quite good in his human form until he becomes his Crow. I'm not quite too sold on his Crow. There are a few elements they take from the comic books, and unfortunately when this movie was almost done, it was kind of then reshot to mirror a few things from the first movie, which unfortunately I think brings it down. I mean, it had the same budget, I think 23 million. And I do actually rewatching it and having seen the newest one, there are elements of this that actually work really well. Some bits, you know, Sick Boy in the first one was obviously designed on not Eric Idle, what is his name now? Here we go, Iggy Pop, and obviously they have Iggy Pop in this, whether he works that well or not, as I say. But expect another video from the Crow franchise down the line, probably around Halloween time, to mirror in it. So this one I picked up very recently. This was on a recommendation of AJ. So this is the latest or last DC animated movie to kind of mainly focus around Catwoman. So it has very much a kind of anime feel. The styling is there. Personally, I prefer the earlier animated movies where they were kind of based on the comics and kind of based on the Western animation style. This, I didn't mind the style. I like some of the characters that they had in there. Obviously, they had Batwoman, and you will notice some of the voice actors as well, quite distinct. The bloke who plays William Riker, he is in it as an agent. I think Catwoman is also played by what is her name? Beatrice from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. why can I names are escaping me today. But yeah, I thought it was all right. Obviously, I think it was just an £8 to have the steelbook. It is a nice looking. The front cover is a nice addition, and I didn't have this, so for £8, I'm glad to pick it up. And the last one, so this is when we're going to get into. So probably very early on in my YouTube journey, so to speak. Obviously, I made friends with Matt, and one of the things Matt really early gifted me, because he knows I watch anything and everything, is this 4 disaster movies. So we're going to go so this is essentially 4 disaster movies. I believe they were more or less around the 2011 and 2012 created for the Sci-Fi Channel. I've watched all of these. I watched them in order that they're on. There isn't any proper connection between them, so you don't have to worry about. So first we started off with World on Fire. So World on Fire is about a government who finds this teacher's notes, or basically bought these teacher's notes about underground caverns for oil, and basically they build these rigs and start drilling. Unfortunately, these caverns are quite close to this volcano line, which they end up breaching, and this causes obviously this big volcano to kind of occur over time. The main lead is Rachel Hunter, which anybody knows, previous wife of Rod Stewart. It kind of sums up it is. The only other actor that I kind of recall in it is Clarence Derrick. So if anybody who knows Sliders, he was Crime Man Rembrandt Brown. This is the last movie he did. I assume he's still alive. I don't think I think it just maybe the rules right. And one of the scenes he's in is quite fun. How he kind of well, the main bad guy is kind of the voice of Chucky, and then Clarence kind of takes over the position because he dies really early on, and then he gets dispatched at the end of the movie. I thought this was very much okay of watching it. Me expanding my world and the experience I have of trying to kind of look at this in a more filmmaker's eyes, and what limits they have, and some stuff works well. There are very much consistency doesn't work. There is stuff shot where people aren't facing the camera and there's talking, and I don't know if that's down to restriction, pay, or anything else. Some of the effects aren't that great. Some are good. I get it that they're actors and actresses, but it was okay to be the first one off it. So they're about an hour and a half long, give or take. So that was the first one. So then we go into Weather Wars, which is probably going to be my favourite out of all of this. So this is has a few famous people. Has a Power Ranger, Erin Cahill. She is from Power Rangers Time Force. And essentially you have a professor who was working with the weather. His government contract is cancelled, and he goes on a vengeance to kill all the people using weather. The story pertains around his 2 sons and a female graduate student who was working with him. They all team up to stop him, and that's how it goes. It is left on a little bit of a cliffhanger, which I really kind of wanted a second movie from this. That worked really well. The actors and actresses weren't too bad across the board. There was some bad special effects. Like it is, I say, there is a few limitations. There are some choices in it, like they run into a car parking lot and it's got bins either side the entrance, and this bloke pushes over a bin, but he pushes it the wrong way, and I don't know if that was filmed. There's a few bits like that you notice, and I'm like, that makes no sense. But for overall, it's quite an enjoyable movie. As I say, it was an enjoyable movie. I enjoyed it from almost start to finish. I say there's some cheesy bits as you do, and the ending kind of left it wanting more, and unfortunately it wasn't. So this was by far my favourite of them. So I thought it was good. We're getting better as we go on. Then we get into Tornado Warning. So another member, Maggie Beckett from Sliders, Carrie Werther, if I pronounce that right. She takes front rein as a kind of meteor scientist, and these magic tornadoes keep turning up in this little town and little places. That also affect the dad. So a dad and his daughter on a farm. The dad is the guy who was in The Lawnmower Man and also in Lost. I can't remember his name is now. But yeah, so it kind of features around these two, the dad and his daughter, and then this other kind of tornado follower. They end up meeting and trying to figure out why these tornadoes are appearing up. The government are there. They keep taking it away, and they've got these flashing lights in it, and then you turn out that they are aliens. Alien tornadoes, because that's how they can only be perceived to us. and it just is so far-fetched and so many things don't work well. And I was like, oh my god, we've gone completely the other way. But it is what it is. And then the final one, Quantum Apocalypse, which I think is probably the worst out of the lot of it. So this is essentially, you have a kid, a family with a kid with special conditions, and you have two punk scientists kind of speak. A meteorite has gone into our solar system and affected the kind of gravitational pull of our planet, and this causes storms and everything, which is going to wreck it. You know, it gets to the point of, because it's affecting our solar system, and that the dad and the son managed to lift the car and that because gravity is affected, and there's absurd stuff like this. It's probably the one I paid the least attention to. I must admit, I did get just bored and distracted through bits of this, so I probably didn't pay as much attention as I would. I will honestly, you know, hold my hands up to that. But just what I was watching, and at each point it just was getting worse and worse. And there was stuff like an EMP has killed everything, like mechanical, when the car dies and the son gets out with some metal wire and says, "Well, I can fix it." And I'm like, that wouldn't happen. There was, and I say picking up the car and throwing it off people, and there's so much absurd stuff. And I get it, like it's a work of fiction, and obviously it's. But as I say, this was the worst. Overall, as I say, glad to have this in the collection. As I say, first one didn't mind, second one really enjoyed. So two fairly good, two really bad. But thank you again, Matt. Sorry, it's probably taken me about a year to get around to watching these. But that has been Look What I've Been Watching. Do you like these sort of movies? Is there any ones like these you can recommend that maybe would be good for me to watch? Please let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, I shall see you in the next one.